Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NSPKU podcast, episode one. We are talking today about prescriptions with a bit of home and away kind of travelling because the two interlink in terms of travel and prescriptions. So this is a PKU podcast. It's a platform done by the NSPKU. What we talk about today is not kind of the official line of the NSPKU. It's merely a platform for us to have a chat about. Today we have Jasmine Green and we have Pauline O'Connor, and we're just going to have a chat about prescriptions, what our dealings with them have been, things that could be improved, things that we feel like, this is the trials and tribulations, some tips and tricks to help you with things hopefully. And really this has been for the community because it might not be the most glamorous of subject matters, being prescriptions, but it's what all of us have to deal with, whether that be family, whether that be adults with PKU themselves, or whether that be relatives and the dietitian service around them as well. So I'm Tom, I'm an adult with PKU, I'm 33, and I've got 8 exchanges. My job is a senior lecturer in filmmaking, and I'm a filmmaker myself, and the part that PKU plays in my life is I try to make it as less dominant as it can be within the space. Obviously requires a lot of planning, a lot of organisation. 8 exchanges is not many to play with. So prescriptions play a big part within getting the bones and kind of the sustenance of big meals, especially coming from prescription items. So Jasmine, if you would like to introduce yourself and who you are, how PKU, and the most important, obviously, question that all PKU people love, what's your exchanges?
So I'm Jasmine. I'm currently on 7 exchanges at the minute, and in September I'm going into my final year of uni, and I'm studying events management. And obviously PKU is a big thing in my life, but I try and not let it consume and be my whole life. Obviously it takes the extra planning and thinking, but you get used to it and it becomes less and less.
And as you're the youngest on this panel. Is it you that looks after the prescriptions? Is it a joint family kind of support network? Who does the grind every month of getting the food?
I mean, to be honest, most of it my mum does sort out. She nags at me. She's like, Jasmine, you need to start doing this yourself. And I tell her, I'm like, as long as I live at home, you're going to be sorting it out for me. But I kind of know the ins and outs of it.
To be fair, that sounded like I did blood tests until I moved out. So it's the same thing of I'm going to hold on to as much as I can while living at home. Cheers then, Jasmine. Polly, how about you?
Yeah, hi. I'm Polly O'Connor. Some of you will know me as Pauline because that's the name on my book about PKU. But most people in the PKU world actually know me as Polly. As you can tell, I have a bit of an accent. I was actually born in the UK and diagnosed here, and then spent 20 years growing up in New Zealand, and then moved back to the UK. And in that time, what have I done? I went to university and studied winemaking because it was a great way to get the university to pay for my alcohol consumption. And then I worked in wineries in the US and New Zealand, and then came to London and got into education. And now I'm trying to do a bit more sort of advocacy for people with PKU and doing some public partnerships with the NHS on research in both PKU and brain injury. And I realised I've actually avoided the most important question, which is my exchanges. I started off as a child, I was on 4 exchanges. And I remember quite distinctly when my clinic told me I could go to 5, which was very exciting. And actually only very recently in the last year, my clinic has loosened it up again to 7, which I'm still working out. It sounds like you should be able to go, wow, that's 2 more exchanges. Let's just do it. But actually it's a bit more to work out, and I'm still sort of looking at my blood results every month and trying to decide. Some days, some weeks I stick to 5 because I know I'm not well. So yeah, it's a little bit more flexible, I think, but that's how it is for me at the moment.
No, that's great. I think yeah, that everyone thinks a boost of an exchange is like, oh, there's more food, and it's like actually, that kind of idea of, oh, I've I've got to remember that that's the new exchange, and then you're watching the blood levels for a fair bit of time. So, cool. I don't, Jasmine, did we cover your exchanges? I can't remember if you said so.
Yes, I'm on
Yes.
7 at the minute.
And how was the increasing for you? I know it's not about prescriptions, but I think prescriptions with the low
Um,
exchange people does necessarily
yeah.
matter.
So I've been on like 7 for quite a long time actually. So I'm very like used to it now. There was a period of time where I was on 8 and then my levels were getting too high, so I dropped back down again. But 7 seems to be working really good at the minute.
There you go. And it was the increases more in kind of, oh, I get a little bit more quantity, or was it kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, how do I use the phrase sometimes burning through exchanges if I need to use them up in a
Yeah.
sense.
Like
So,
some days I actually like struggle to get enough in me because obviously with low exchanges you're used to eating a lot of prescription foods and then it's like, oh wait, I do actually need to eat some actual protein. Like sometimes I do forget.
yeah, when I cook a lot, then it's like, okay, I've cooked a lot of prescription stuff. Now I need some protein from other sources, in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. So I think we covered how you're currently doing your prescriptions, Jasmine. But in terms of how are we finding it? Do we use the chemist, the doctor's chemist to your door route, or you collect it from the chemist, or do you do the home deliveries, through the doctors, and it becomes a bit more like an online email form thing?
Yeah, so we've done the home deliveries for like quite a long time. It just works out so much more like conveniently than going to the chemist, having to like lug a load of boxes, put them in the boot. Like it's so much easier when they turn up at your door. And obviously you can like track the deliveries, you know when they're going to turn up.
Yeah.
So we found that a lot easier.
Cool. Polly, same question kind of for you. Is it home delivery? Is it the chemist route?
So most of my life, home delivery wasn't an option. Gosh, I sound old. But I remember the first flat when I moved to London and I was looking for a place to rent, and the first flat that was within 200 meters of a chemist was the one I went for because I didn't have it's London, you don't have a car. I had to carry everything back and forth. And then I signed up for home delivery, and it does make a massive difference. I'm lucky though in that I can arrange to be home for the delivery. Um, Whereas, certainly when I was, pre-pandemic, you're in the office 5 days a week. Someone's got to be home. The courier drivers aren't or weren't at the time allowed to leave medicine like in a safe place or anything. So there have been days when it's been really quite tricky to work the home delivery, but I do that at the moment because, as I say, I can be flexible to be home for it.
Yeah, I think I think that kind of flexibility is a benefit. I think that you reach some valid points there in terms of I'll kind of go reverse. So the courier idea of being in, I think, is, I've had neighbours that have had to take the boxes in various different states. The states aren't great sometimes with those boxes, but it's that case of sometimes you're not in, and that's kind of what it's delivered to. I find with the prescription setup, it very much promotes people that don't work a 9 to 5, if that makes sense. In terms of the chemists that I used to be part of would only open till 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, and by that time I haven't come back from work. I reluctantly did home delivery, in the sense of the chemist that I was with at the time just went 1 month. You order too much stuff. We can't hold it in the chemist. We're not going to take any more of your prescriptions. And there's only one chemist on this side of town, relatively, and that was that chemist. So I was like, right, I need to find a different solution. It's the first time I felt kind of, I don't know, it is discriminatory, but I never like to use that phrase.
No, you're
But
quite right, it is. And it's a bit of a shock when that happens because I had something similar happen to me. Um, and when I found that chemist that was in the 200 meters of my door, you know, every other month I'd go in with a tub of biscuits for the staff. And you shouldn't have to bribe people to get the same service as everyone else. And yet sometimes you have to.
maybe I should have done biscuits. That would have been maybe they would have kept a bit more on side. But no, I think that's true. I think it's I felt if I left it a couple of days that I couldn't make it into the chemist, I felt guilt when I turned up, and it was like, but why should I feel guilt for taking stuff that I really do need? If bread doesn't turn up, it's annoying. But the medicine, I really did need that. But then I'm like, I don't know, taking little boxes out, going, stop looking at me, in terms of like feeling paranoid about how much space I'm taking up. So yeah, I reluctantly did home delivery. I think it's a lot easier on a working lifestyle. I think that's kind of probably why all three of us are on it in a sense. But it does come with its caveats, and for me, it's the delivery stuff that's a little bit harder. Of like, I don't know, I don't want to dial a chemist. I have no idea when that turns up, apart from a text in the morning from DPD going, "You better be in today," and I'm like, okay, yeah. I guess we're gonna go with that. So we'll get
I
onto
get,
the
yeah,
yeah. Go on, Polly.
I get the text at like 5 a.m. to say, your delivery driver is turning up in 45 minutes. And I'm like, this guy has seen me in my dressing gown so many times. It's ridiculous. So maybe I should start giving him some. Oh, no, I won't actually. I won't give him cookies. I want to give him the wrong impression.
No.
But it's kind of inconvenient.
Yeah.
And it was interesting what you said there. It's like, I don't want to take up space. And that's kind of how you're made to feel sometimes. It's like, because you're not fitting in with the norms of what a health service or what a pharmacy does, you're not here to collect a neat little package of pills every month. It's boxes and boxes of stuff. And I think that's one of the things that kind of goes unacknowledged. So that's why I'm picking on you on what you said there, Tom, is
Yeah.
that I think that's something that a lot of people with PKU might have felt is I'm not trying to take up space or inconvenience you. I'm just trying to get what I need to manage my PKU.
Yeah, and I think like the queue that I used to create behind me in the chemist was big, and I'm just like, well, I hope no one's in the chemist when I'm coming to collect my items, because if they are, you're going to be there a while, because I'm going to check that I've got all my quantities. So, but I think sadly it boils down to what, and this is why we're stood here talking confidently about PKU, which is like confidence is the biggest thing with this condition, and almost like I shouldn't be caring about what people think, but we're human. We naturally do, don't we, in a sense? So, yeah, in terms of kind of, we'll get on to what we will change, and if we ran the country, we would do this sort of thing. But if we go to kind of, I don't want a breakdown of every item that you guys have on prescription, because I think we'll be here a while. But kind of, what's your general staples? Because it changes each month, in a sense, and I know that some of us have varieties of different kind of medicines, and some people choose to have all of their like the breads, the pastas, the rices and stuff on prescriptions, or some people kind of do a bit more shop bought depending on their exchanges. So Jasmine, tell me what kind of, or what the pinnacle staples for you are. You don't have to try and remember every item.
So obviously, supplement wise, I'm on coolers. So when that gets delivered, I have four a day. So like they come four boxes at a time, and it's a big delivery, and they just have to get shoved somewhere in a corner. Like food wise, obviously like breads, pasta, rice tend to be more like the like carby stuff that you can like base your meals around. I like a lot of the like sausage and burger mixes as well. And the cheese sauce as well is really good for mac and cheese. So that
Hey.
tends to be like the main things that I have.
Okay, cool. That's it's going a lot more. Do you think it's been changing as you've been going out a lot more in terms of
Um,
the movements? You said university to the kind of elements of traveling and wanting to live an independent life. Do you feel like what you're selecting on the prescriptions is adapting a bit.
I mean, I'm very much like I like what I like and I know what I like. Like I always have the same type of pasta, I always have the same type of rice. And it's been like that for a long time. Like obviously you do different things with like the base of the meal, but I think obviously when you're in uni, no one's cooking like three-course meals. So I literally did live off pesto pasta for about a year, which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, is there?
You still like pesto pasta? You haven't
Oh,
been put
love it.
off?
I do eat it at least once a week.
Just not every day now.
No, not every day.
So pesto pasta is your go-to
Yeah.
razzle and dazzle meal. Is that what you're saying,
Yeah.
Jasmine? Cool. Yeah, I think it's interesting because for me, I think it's shifted a lot more to be the things that can go with meals, the burger mixes, the porridge like things, the kind of quite a lot of the Promin stuff, to be fair, because I think that's the most small and adaptable things that I've kind of found. But yeah, thanks for that, Jasmine. Polly, how about you? What sort of stuff do you get on your prescription?
So I'm going to go back to old school because growing up in New Zealand in the 80s when we went there, the only stuff you could get on prescription was the bread mix and the spiral pasta. So that was it. I got that and I got my supplement, which at the time was the big tubs of Maximum. So
Was
my mum,
the bread is beige and space packed, as I remember in the 90s?
we no, not in the 80s. That didn't exist. You got sent flour and you made your own bread. And we didn't have we didn't have bread makers. Get off my porch.
Pesto
We
pasta, what even is this? That's
yeah.
it.
So I guess I'm saying that because I grew up making my own stuff from like my mum had me in the kitchen with her making baking stuff and Sunday afternoons was baking day. And that's changed a fair bit now, although I do make my own bread with a bread maker now. And I got a dispensation from my university to take my bread maker to university with me. So I was staying in the halls. So
Was that a desired thing that in terms of what was that sort of types of conversation like in terms of I am becoming with bread maker, I really
yeah, it
need it,
was
please let
yeah.
me in.
I got a letter from my GP in my clinic and wrote to the vice chancellor of the university. And it comes with, yeah, you've got to have your confidence when you're advocating for yourself, because that's what you're doing. Or rather, my parents were advocating for me. But it actually proved to be a bit of a hit because it meant that our corridor in the dorm smelled like fresh bread. So my room became the one that people hung out at. Because it smelled like fresh bread and not like the football socks next door. So, um,
So your bread maker was a sociable attraction. Is that what you're
yeah, I guess I learned that because, we lived in rural New Zealand. There was no hiding. I couldn't hide my PKU. It wasn't an option. There were so few people that there was no way to hide it. So it's always been a thing for me that like, yep, this is what I do. This is what I am. So that's quite a tangent from what my supplement is. Sorry.
But I
Um,
think it taps into that confidence idea, isn't it? It's
hmm,
like it's almost like forced confidence until you
yeah,
gain confidence, isn't it, in a sense?
yeah, but that's not that's not a constant path. Like even now, I still have days when I'm like, oh, I'd have to keep doing this. I have to keep G'ing myself up. So yeah, there's good days and then there's days when you have to sort of kick yourself to advocate.
Yeah.
Or to, just to get what you need, like you and the chemist.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, sorry, my supplements. Um, we were talking a little before this, and because obviously my family's still in New Zealand, I've always had a powdered supplement, so that I could take it on a plane with me. I have recently just started using the Low Flex Select, their peach tea flavor as my sort of my one liquid. I'm like, I take 4 supplements a day. So I take 4 of the low flex powder. Oh, sorry, 3 of the low flex powder and one of the liquid. And I'm not going to do any more than that because if I get a call tomorrow, I can take the powder with me. I do know people who've traveled with the pouches, but I have heard nightmare stories of them having to scan each pouch. And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I think it's you find what works for you, don't you, with the traveling, and in a sense of like I
Yeah.
think we weight is obviously always a big thing when it comes to traveling. Convenience and not trying to stand out, I think, is another thing as well. Yeah, I think for me, I do a mixture of powder and liquid as a hybrid for two different companies. So I do the low flex ready made, so berries, I do 3 times a day, and then I have the oh no, the low flex powder actually. I don't do two companies, I just do the one. And I do because I'm lazy in the middle of the day. Typically, I like to have the ready made in the middle of the day, so I prioritize that as okay. I have that weight, and then the powder can supplement the either sides. Where I'm normally probably based in a static area sort of thing. But we deviated. What other stuff do you have on prescription? You're making bread and you've
Sorry.
got your
Yeah.
supplements. There you go.
And I have the pasta spirals. I only get the spirals because I know how to cook it, and I cook it with my husband's, and they take the same time, and that's life, right? I'm not just making stuff for myself. I did deviate when the alphabet pasta came out. I was a grown adult, but I didn't get alphabet pasta as a child, so I was certain I was going to try it as an adult. Um,
Is it as good as they raved about? Or
I enjoyed it, but it cooked more quickly than the fusilli, and there was a couple of times when, it wasn't alphabet no, or the animal pasta anymore. It was just bits of stuff that had fallen apart. So I went back to the fusilli because that's what worked.
yeah.
I get the crackers, I get the cereal, and that's pretty much it. Um,
Okay. So there's the real kind of staples in a
yeah,
sense then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I've tried that animal pasta or the small pastas, and I just don't think it holds its shape in any way, shape, or form, does it? Yeah, I think I get excessively quite a lot. I think I basically went, if my doctors will allow me to have it, I will have as much as I can possibly have. I do like making my own bread, so I have a lot of flour. I do have the Mavelia ready-made breads because they're really useful for hotel breakfasts because I work away half the week every week up in Leeds, which is 3 hours away from where I live. So I'm in hotels every week. So that idea of I've only got a kettle or a cooked kind of breakfast and just putting bread through the toast is quite useful. And yeah, I think I get a lot of the staples, and I have the two companies. So I think I have the Nutricia Homewood sort of stuff that I use, and they always come. That's probably the most regular service I have. And then Dial a Chemist is potluck in terms of what I'll end up with and when it will turn up. So that's quite a Russian roulette sometimes. The Nutrition one is a lot more. I think they work around me a lot more because they ring, or I can call, or I can email, or there's an online system. It seems a little bit better for the adults, if I'm being totally honest, than filling in a PDF and sending it via some random email, which is the Dial a Chemist route. Um, so we've all kind of said we do home delivery and kind of why, in terms of kind of the benefits for it. Are there any other like drawbacks or kind of difficulties that you've found with the home delivery thing? We've mentioned couriers and stuff like when that's being delivered. Is it? I know, Jasmine, you said that you have the same thing every month, which I'm sure your doctors really appreciate having the same script to read off. Yeah, is there any kind of other kind of pros or cons that people have found with the home delivery systems as opposed to the chemist, so to speak? Because there'll be a variety of different people on different things, and certainly when I was a kid, it was the chemist system, and that was the priority in a sense. But yeah, Jasmine, how about for you?
I mean, so obviously like sometimes it just doesn't turn up when it's meant to, and like you obviously don't know if that's the couriers, like the doctor's not putting the prescription through, or the actual companies. Sometimes it is just like a genuine mistake, but then sometimes you think, well, why is this happening? Like, it's not something that you can like go without for like a week or so. Like, it does need to turn up when it's meant to. And then obviously, like, still running the prescriptions through the doctors, like the GP, sometimes they just don't do it. So my mum, she's had a big long conversation with the GPs, and what she does now is whenever she puts a prescription through, she emails them. So like they're on it and they know, and it works a lot better that way if they know it's coming to them, kind of preps them a bit.
And forces them to go, hey.
Yeah, like it forces them to actually act on it and do what they're meant to do with it.
I think that's a really good idea actually, because it's that I think we are obviously in our own mindset of being we are our own patient, aren't we, in a sense? But the doctor sees so many, and there's so many now. There's more and more people joining GPs, isn't there? So there's less of a personal. The doctor knows me. I know when I turned up to my doctor, they went, "This is the first time I've ever seen anybody with PKU," and I was like, "Yep, they exist. Hi, here I am. Please sign off quite a lot of expensive food every month." So that was, and then you go kind of worryingly for the first couple of months, going, "Are they going to do it? Are they?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. My prepayment is fine." Sort of things. That in terms of have we switched doctors quite a lot and tried to keep the chemist structure going or the home delivery structure going, or is it
I
kind of
mean, I've always
under
been,
doctors? It's fine.
yeah, I've always been with the same GP like forever. So I've never had to go through the like changing and like explaining this is what happens. So on that front, I'm kind of okay.
Are you nervous when it does come to me? Okay, I'm sure you want to leave home and go
I
places
mean,
and that
yeah,
sort
I'm
of
gonna
thing.
have to leave home at some point. So yeah, it is obviously it's like a big conversation you have to have. And it's not just gonna be like an overnight thing.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot of planning and thinking about.
And is that something that you're kind of okay, I will do that, or is that kind of the anticip? Is there a bit of anticipation of
I
like,
mean,
"Ah,
like I'd never like it's just one of them things that needs to be done. Like it's not gonna stop me from doing like moving wherever or like moving areas. Like it's just one of them things that needs to be done.
yeah, there you go." I think that's
Yeah.
that's that's the clearest that and that's kind of sometimes I feel like that's the attitude you gotta go with the doctors and the chemists,
Yeah.
especially, and go as much as, and I've had it. Why don't you get bread from the supermarket that's gluten free? And I'm like, well,
It's not as
yeah,
easy as that, is
yeah,
it?
it's not as easy as that. And if I had loads of exchanges, maybe I could,
Yeah. But
be okay with that. But yeah, so it is a little bit of a battle, isn't it, sort of thing. Polly, how about you in terms of you said moving chemists, doctors, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
How's that been?
So I have immigrated around the world twice with my PKU. I've lost count of the number of GPs I've had the starting appointment with, and I've just walked in and said, "So, phenylketonuria. I'm not expecting you to have come across anyone with it." And I've found that one of the easiest things to do is to, whenever I find a new GP, I will actually try and have a letter from my old GP, and I will give that to the receptionist when I make, like, when you go and register as a new patient, so that in that 2 minute window that the GP's got between the last patient leaving and you walking in the door, they've got a letter in front of them. And it's from, another GP who's using the same language and saying, so it's almost like a little piece of paper that says, "This is manageable."
Your seal,
I've
your
dealt with
seal of
it.
approval. That's it.
Yeah,
So
or
someone else
another
has
G
dealt with me, and you should be able
exactly.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be kind of a top tip for anyone like you, Jasmine, who's got that ahead of them. Um, and then when you walk in the door, you just sort of say, "Right, I've got PKU. It's really restricted. I have to have foods on prescription. Supermarket foods are not an option because this isn't an allergy. This isn't gluten. This is, you know, this is specially, is it SMPF, specially medical food prescription? I can't remember. Um,
I
yeah.
appreciate the attempt though. I just go,
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
loads of food on prescription, it's special
Yeah.
food, and that's what I say to a lot of my colleagues, and they're like, oh, that sounds really
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah. So basically, you walk in and you say, "This is who I am. This is why I have to get it from you, and this is what I need." And if you can give them a list, like, or just have, the GP print out the list of what you've had before, then it's about making life easier for them, if that makes sense. I know you shouldn't have to, but if you can walk in and say, "This is what it is, this is why you have to do it, this is what you have to do," it's more likely to happen.
Makes your life a bit easier as well if you're like very clear from it from the start.
Yeah.
It just makes things so much simpler.
Yeah. And I always think like, my dad was a GP, and I always used to think from his point of view, if he's got someone with, let's face it, a very rare condition walking in his room, I don't want him to panic. I don't want that GP to panic and think, "Oh, what do I have to do?" It's like, no, my condition is already managed by this clinic. You'll get letters from them telling you what's happening, what's changing. It's just you have to do my prescriptions, and this is what I need. And instantly, their sort of alert level of being, "Oh my God, there's this horrible thing I have to do now," is suddenly back down to, "Oh, well, this is really manageable."
Again, you're as I said with the chemist trying to blend it. You're blending in, Polly. That's the idea, isn't it? It's like I am not a inconvenience. Everything's
Yeah,
sorted. Don't think about it too much.
yeah.
Just give me the stuff.
Just give me what I need. Come on, let's not make this conversation any harder than it has to be because I will win.
Yeah.
Done this
We
before and you haven't. Yeah.
done it many, many times. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the other
Yeah.
question you had was about problems with the home delivery service and with
Yes.
chemists. The big problem I have with the home delivery service is when you have a non-PKU prescription,
Oh, yes.
like suddenly your GP who has had it set up, my GP knows they get a prescription from me, it gets sent to Nutricia and it's done. The problem comes when I get a prescription for, I don't know, asthma inhaler
Hmm.
that Nutrition doesn't do, but my GP will still, their system still sends that script off to Nutrition.
Ah, okay.
And oh my goodness, yes, that's where the problem is.
See, that
Um,
sounds like a different. I say to Nutricia, these are the products I want. Then they contact the doctors, and then it appears on my doorstep. So
yeah,
it's
and
yeah.
that's fine. But what happens is when I go into my GP, and I am prescribed something that's got absolutely nothing to do with PKU.
Yeah.
And my system at the GP surgery has got Nutricia down as a nominated chemist. So
Yes.
their system says, right, well, here is a prescription for something completely non-PKU. Let's send it to the nominated chemist.
So then, out of curiosity, what then happens?
The prescription gets cancelled
Yeah.
because Nutricia can't fill it. The nominated chemist can't fill it. So the prescription gets cancelled. So I have to go back to the GP, get another script, and yeah. And it can be incredibly frustrating. And it's very weird the stuff that happens around it. Like the last time that happened to me, I went back to the chemist, I went back to the GP, got the prescription, went back the next day and picked it up from them before they could send it to anywhere. And then went to the chemist around the corner who said, "Oh, we've got all your PKU stuff."
Oh my God.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It was very, I, yeah,
And
I
that's
went,
all
yeah, I
very
went and had a
time
very stiff
consuming,
drink.
isn't it? Really time consuming in terms of you've got to have the capacity within your week and day to chase that, to make sure it's happening. It's, yeah.
Yeah. It did get so bad one year that I ended up taking half a day's annual leave just to sort it out.
Wow.
And again, I don't know if that's postcode lottery or, you know, but yeah, getting a non-PKU prescription when you've got PKU, that can sometimes be the sticking point.
Yeah, I think it's kind of yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I think it is doctor to doctor. Is Jasmine, is that similar for you in terms of your
I've
process?
had that happen a couple of times to me. I remember once I went to the doctors and they prescribed me like antibiotics. So went to the chemist to pick the prescription up. They were like, "Well, no, you've used like dial-a-chemist. It's not here." And I was like, "Well, no, that's not for this. That's for like prescription foods and stuff." So I had to go back to the doctors, get a new prescription, go back to the pharmacy to get it. And it's like, I understand obviously not everybody's familiar with it, but it is really frustrating when you're
Mm.
trying to get something so simple like antibiotics and it's like 10 times harder for you.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
kind of then that idea of, I don't know, understanding and kind of, again, maybe it comes down to this what Polly was saying about this introduction to those GPs and going, I may have nominated chemists, which obviously doctors love to use that term and make it as speedy and easy for them as possible of just going, boop, sending it off, sending it off.
Yeah.
But going, well, here's the nominated chemist for these things, here's the nominated chemist for these things, and here's the nominated chemist, which is probably next door or just up the road for all the other stuff to do with my body. And I think, yeah, I think it's kind of the dark art in a sense of what people don't realise goes on behind the scenes with the doctors, where
Yeah.
we obviously don't want anything medically, other things to go wrong with us, as opposed to our livers are just being a bit weird. But we can't, they shouldn't be sending scripts the other way, and that's kind of where this system is. Postcode lottery. I haven't had that, but then that doesn't mean that it's
It's
a
not
weird
that.
way. It's kind of like I should be grateful then. I've never had that happen to me, but it shouldn't be a thing that should happen in a weird
Yeah,
way.
I
Yeah.
agree. And this is one of the other reasons why knowing and meeting other people with PKU is really helpful because I know this is a problem with my prescription. I can text another friend with PKU who's gone through all this, and she can give me all the jargon I need and all the inside story on how this NHS script prescription spine works and who I should be talking to and what jargon I should be using. And yeah, so I have her on call.
You're hacking the PKU doctor system is the sort of thing. Yeah, I think I had a blood test this week with the doctors, and on the label it said I was recently diagnosed with classical PKU, which I thought was a very ironic label.
That's
Given I'm 30,
fantastic.
given I'm 33 years old, I've recently been diagnosed with classical PKU. I was like, well, let's hope my next prescription turns up. So that, yeah, that was quite fun. Had a big chuckle and then went, I hope and then I got told I didn't have celiac disease, and I was like, well, I know I don't have celiac disease. Just daft. The doctors are just daft. You mentioned briefly, Polly, about kind of emigrating around the world twice, I think you said.
Mm,
Traveling when it comes to
yeah.
prescription prepping. I know
Mm.
you painted a vision in my mind as if you've got some sort of getaway bag just planned in the side of a corner, ready for if you need to get on a plane somewhere. I'm sure that's not the case, but
I would
talk,
love
talk,
to, yeah, I'd love to say that's not the case, but I'm in Berlin this weekend coming, so
the bag's already prepped. The
the
bag.
the bag is being prepped. But I think it was something my parents were very keen on was that it wasn't going to stop, that PKU was not going to stop me doing what I want, and that included traveling where I wanted. And my parents did. They moved from Scotland to New Zealand with three children under the age of five, and one of them with a rare disease. So I'm not saying it was easy.
No,
Um,
there could be easier circumstances, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they did it. And so that was the first time I moved down under, and then obviously came back to the UK. Um, and like I said, I've traveled for work and for fun. I've been to the US. I think one of my favorite stories is about when I was traveling when it was maximum tubs. And I was going there to do a 3 month sort of internship. And, the US is all insurance and stuff, and I didn't want to get into that. So I reported to US Customs with 40 kilos of white powder in my suitcase. Um, and, and they, I don't,
How long were you there for?
well, they were genuinely surprised. I'm guessing that most people with, that much white powder don't just walk up and say, "Hey, you guys want to look at this?" But obviously I had letters. That would be my top tip for anyone traveling anywhere, is to get a letter from your PKU clinic that says who you are, and that you need this, itemized what you need for travel. I think I last counted, I've been to about 20 different places, and it's only been asked for once. It wasn't that wasn't the time I was queuing at customs with the white powder, actually, by the way. It's only been asked for once, this letter, but I always have photocopies of it, and if my stuff's in like a checked bag, I always put a copy of that letter in with it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's only been asked for once, but that would be my top tip for anyone traveling.
Yeah, I think that's really useful because it's that idea of I think the last time I travelled had to show the letter and stuff like that. And I was actually leaving the UK. I was like, well, fair enough. Just let me go. So it's this idea of kind of, that prepping, organisation. I think we'll come back to kind of how do you factor that in when you're putting in prescription orders and what food and that sort of thing to take. Obviously, Jasmine, travelling for you, travelling could be anything. I view travelling as even just going outside the house for a night somewhere else, whether that be friends' houses, whether that be, as I said, I go to work away for half the week, so I have to make pasta that lasts for 2 days and that sort of thing. So travelling could be anything, and I think the biggest thing probably when I was growing up was the lack of seeing people above me travelling was quite it can't be done, or it's harder to do. I think Jasmine, you mentioned earlier on coolers, and I'm like, I remember testing coolers. That's how old I am, and being the guinea pigs that tested the coolers. So you're welcome, I'll just say. But it's this idea of kind of, as things have become a bit more convenient, travel has become a little bit and easier to manage, but it does require planning. So Jasmine, for you, what does travelling mean? What has travelling with the condition meant for you, and kind of what planning and prep do you do for that?
I mean, I'm definitely not as well travelled as Polly, but I remember once we went on a family holiday to Cornwall just for a week, and my mum and dad packaged up all my food I needed for the week and DPD'd it down there. So we didn't have to take it in the car with us. And obviously, like the peoples who like owned the place we were staying, they were like more than happy to take it in for us, and that was pretty good.
That's
Last
a
year,
really clever. I just say
yeah,
that's a really sensible idea.
That is
Yeah,
brilliant. I hope I'm writing that down.
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
it's one to use. I don't know how well
obviously,
that'd work if you're going abroad, but in the UK, definitely recommend.
but you're just living on pasta, aren't you? Though, so it's fine, isn't it, Jasmine? So I'm
Yeah.
messing. I'm messing. Continue with your point.
Last year I went and worked at Leeds Festival, so I was there camping in a field for 6 days. And obviously, if you're going anywhere with PKU, it takes obviously some planning, but camping in a field for 6 days, it's a little bit more planning than you would just needing going on holiday. So obviously I'm on coolers. I didn't think taking 6, 7 days worth of coolers with me in a big massive rucksack was going to end very well. So I changed supplements and I did the like powdered spheres. Obviously, I like double check with my dietitian first, and they like put the prescription through. Now I've got loads left in a cupboard somewhere.
But how, like, I have not switched for a purpose and then gone back. What are we talking in terms of the lead-in period of like, you're working at Leeds Fest. Okay, this is the medicine change. You're having to then get that new medicine in,
Yeah.
aren't you, in a sense? And so, are we talking like a month? Are we
I mean,
talking?
a couple of months before, I got one of the like tester boxes just to like try out the flavors and work out which ones I liked, because the powder I took was like the powdered equivalent to what I was taking anyway. So I didn't have to take like any different like amounts or anything. And then I think the prescription, I must have had it like a couple of weeks before or something. and just so obviously you've got time to like if it goes wrong, kind of sort it out, kind of thing.
No, that's again, it comes into that prepping idea, doesn't
Yeah.
it? In a sense of like, you then have to have the foresight to do that, and then have you? I'm guessing you haven't stuck with the medicine if it's in a cupboard. Is it just was it
No,
convenient and then you've gone back?
I mean, I've always been on coolers, like literally since I was young, like a little child. And my mum keeps like, "Oh, Jasmine, you should change." And I put them in the fridge as well. I like them cold.
Oh,
Is
is
that
that? I don't know. That for me feels like an acquired taste, but
no, it's I
Polly,
think
how about you? You can be the deciding factor in this.
So I actually radically have both. So
But do
it's
you do it in the fridge?
yeah, so I will have a liquid one that's been in the fridge like on I mean we've had heat waves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And
know
so
I've got to try it now. I've never put
yeah.
them in the
yeah,
fridge.
try it.
And then yeah, like
Okay.
first thing in the morning or last thing at night, I don't want something that's freezing cold, so I'll just have it normally.
Okay. So it's the middle of the day, couple of days to bring it down. That's it. Oh, there you go. I've learned a new. I'll try a new thing, and I'll report back whether it's a thing that I will continue. Yeah, sometimes they do go off a bit with the heat, I would say, especially the pre-made ones. So yeah, in terms of getting the same stuff every month, Jasmine, in terms of how much of a stockpile do we have? That's an interesting question, I
Um,
think, because things can change. If we're missing deliveries,
yeah.
I've always got to keep a fair bit of stock in myself personally. How about for you?
I mean, it was different when I was younger. I think we had a lot more of everything when I was younger. I remember in the house I used to live in, I had these massive wardrobes, and the whole top shelf was just full of like pasta and fate and everything you could think of. And now I think I tend to order like like a lower variety of products. So it tends to like we're on top of it. I'm never like running out of everything. Like I always keep a like stock check and know when I have to reorder things. And the same with like supplements. My mum is like on it. She's like, Jasmine, how many have you got left? How many boxes? When do I need to order? And she knows anyway, like even without me asking her.
But she's briefing you for that for
Yeah,
that.
she's getting me prepared.
Yeah, which is always a good thing. I think
Yeah,
storage
definitely.
is a kind of when I've bought my own home, but like having to look at storage more than looking at boilers, I think was the thing that I was looking at of going. So where will this PKU stuff actually go?
It's a
And
unique thing, isn't it? You've got to suddenly be like, where am I going to keep this? I can't put it in the loft. I can't, yeah.
And they're not, I'm not going to say they're not the most jazziest of labels. Like, so you don't want them on display. You've got to find somewhere to put them. So yeah, storage is a big
Yeah.
thing, especially when you try and stockpile for any changes. Recently we've obviously had like pizza-based changes, or something goes out of stock for a couple of months. So if you want that kind of stockpiling idea with the prescriptions, it's hard to do, especially if you enjoy the food as well. So, Polly, how about you for stockpiling? How much? Obviously, you've got that bag that you're gonna
Yeah,
give
I got my
away.
go.
Yeah.
I'd always been a big stockpiler until the last few years. And again, partly that's because, my parents moved to New Zealand, which was on the other side of the world from all these factories. And they had just gone through 70s Britain with all the dock strikes.
Yeah.
So our kitchen was reconfigured to have loads of storage. So we would order 3 months at a time, and my parents would try to
Wow.
be a delivery ahead. So the kitchen had to hold 6 months worth of stuff.
Oh my
Um,
God.
because it was a 3 months at a time, and if the delivery's missed, then
Yeah.
so it was just habit. And then I've slowly been getting better. I did stockpile around Brexit.
Yeah.
I I did.
I mean,
Um,
I
yeah,
did the same. I was
yeah,
like, if I can't get hold of this for a while, they need to get
yeah,
their stuff sorted out. I've got
exactly.
months sorted.
Yeah,
Zombie apocalypse mentality is my
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
and I had something recently where I had a problem getting a hold of something, and oh no, it was my entire monthly delivery was missed. Normally with Nutricia, it's like clockwork. But it was at the GP end. My GP went on maternity leave
Ah,
and my script got missed. So I missed a month's delivery and I had no flour. Um, so actually that was a couple of months back and I've rebuilt my stockpile. The
I had the
supplement, yeah,
same. I had the same at the start of the year. I think with
yeah,
Nutritia, they missed a delivery, and I think their words were over the phone going. So I know that was it. The medicine wasn't in stock, or they couldn't get
mm,
hold of their medicine for a bit, and they were like, "Is that going to be a problem?" I was like, "Well, if I didn't have a stockpile, yes, I'd be
yeah,
going then to my dietitian and getting them sending me stuff." So
yeah,
really hoping that I stockpile in a weird way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually find stockpiling the supplement easier, and this is going to sound a bit radical, but stockpiling the supplement just happens for me because I am on, if you're on one a day of something, and the the GP surgery tends to work on a 28-day turnaround for
Mm.
prescriptions. So every 28 days, you get a new box, but in the box is 30 packets. So every month you're getting four extra packets than you need.
There you go.
Um, and actually, you just hold on to them.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think mine's the same over. I think of the quantities that I've put in cheekily to the doctors is slightly higher than anything that I would use. So then I'm always
Oh yeah. Yeah.
adding a bit on
In the
month to
run up,
month.
yeah, I think it was about 8 months before Brexit. My clinic accidentally put double the amount on a prescription, and I waited for that delivery to come through and then told them, and suddenly I had a month spare.
There you
Um,
go.
So I would always encourage anyone to try and keep, certainly of the supplement,
Yeah.
try and keep something tucked away.
I'd also say the flour. I do think the
Yeah.
flour is a really and flour and pasta. I think is you can go a fair few meals. I'm not saying Jasmine was
Jasmine can
neglected
go a
with the
long way on
I
with
pasta.
could go a few months just living off pasta, I think.
So we all know when Jasmine finally moves out, she's just going to be having pasta on all of. That's it. The
Yeah,
prescription
that's
is
it.
supplements and pasta. But like, I think those can take you so far, and they really are quite a cheap alternative as well. To kind of just go, you just need some pasta sauce or pesto, or the breads can be made up into a loaf, and that's really quite easily. Or you can do cakes and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think we've covered quite a lot. So I want us to kind of go take our mind as if we were changing and being the thing of like what would we change about the systems? We've talked about it a fair bit, but also we can couple into the question of is there anything that we've really missed that's been delisted or kind of disappeared into the ether? For me, the bourbons, they used to have bourbons on prescription. They were lovely, showing my age now for sure. And I'm obviously now missing pizza bases because they're going to be slowly going out of stock. But what would we change about the system if there was anything radical? You can think big, you can think small, and any lost products to time. Who wants to go first? I'll leave that to either of you.
Well, I will jump in there to say, yes, I remember the bourbons. They were delicious. I used to
Yes.
just, the cream in the middle. Yeah. Um,
We're showing our age now, Polly.
yeah. Change.
What's your big picture, big idea thinking, Polly?
I would have a public health campaign, so not specifically aimed at people with PKU, but I would have something out there that says, not everything is a lifestyle diet. Not everyone is has got an allergy, but lots of people have a restricted diet. And it would just be something simple so that I'm not the one having to constantly explain to people in a restaurant, no, it's not an allergy. Can you remove the cheese? Um, and I would just love it if people knew that some medical conditions are treated through diet. And that's all you need to know. Just be nice to the person asking. Um, Yeah.
I think that's completely fair. I think,
Yeah.
especially when we're eating out and about, it's that kind
Yeah.
of there's so many replies I get from emails that I send
Mm.
going, could I bring my pizza bases in? And they're like,
Yeah.
no, it
Yeah.
can't go in the kitchen. I'm like, well, you've lost
Yeah.
some custom there, haven't you? Sort of
Yeah.
thing. So, because
I
I'm bringing
did.
in pizza bases and you'll charge me full rate for the pizza. So it's like you could make a
I'm.
lot of money. But
I
anyway,
did. I
that's
did
a
the
side
wrong
thing.
thing once. I actually said yes to an allergy. Like, they always ask you
Yes.
when they
Yeah.
first started doing that. And I was literally just trying to get them to hold the cheese on like something. Um, and I had an hour before my train, and I was like, oh, yes, it's an allergy. Can you just do it? Oh, that was a mistake. Apparently, I had to wait for the chef to finish doing everyone else's dishes so that the chef could come out and talk to me about exactly what my allergy was. I'm like, you know what? I'll just go get some Percy pigs. It'll be fine. Um,
The
and that
sugar will keep you going. That's the thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So no, if I was in charge, everyone in the country would be aware that some people have a restricted diet, and you don't need to know anything, but you do need to help them.
There
That's
you
what I
go. I
think.
think that seems reasonable, I would say.
Yeah.
Cheers then, Polly. Jasmine, how about for you? Delisting and your big idea.
Delisted products, I really miss the Mavalia baguettes.
Oh, they were nice.
They were
Yeah.
so good for like a sandwich or garlic bread. I don't know why they stopped doing
And
them.
they were small too, so you could
Yeah, they
put,
were
and
like,
they're
I don't
split
know,
down
probably
into
like
one.
Russian size, yeah, for like
Yeah.
one sandwich. And also, I think it was Mavalia who did them again, but the crisp breads,
Hmm.
I love them. Now I sometimes eat gluten-free crisp breads, but obviously I have to count them.
Yeah.
And they were so good.
And there's I don't know. For me, it's like when they're you don't have to count them. Even if they don't taste better, they do
Yeah,
taste better. You know what I mean? It's that
they
weird thing of like
do. Subconsciously.
it doesn't break into my 8 or 7 exchanges on your get. It's like, oh, okay. They could taste really bad, but they're helpful and they get me to the
Yeah.
next meal. So, and do you remember the Bourbons, or are we too
I
old?
don't think I've ever had them.
Well, there you go. We're
I feel like
ancient.
I've
It's
really
all
missed
good.
out.
Well, we've just now told you a thing that probably will never exist. So well
Yeah,
done.
me sad now. Sorry.
What's your big idea then, Jasmine?
This is not really a big idea. This is something very like oddly specific, and it's only recently just come about. And I'm not sure what prescription company it is, but now they have a minimum of like 10 items per order. So
Ah,
you're having to order like either like 5 boxes of pasta or 5 boxes of rice,
who
which
said that? In that is that?
that's what we've been told.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so which I understand from like a cost perspective and stuff, but then when the actual delivery comes, they only send like half of it.
Mm, yeah.
So I don't
That is
understand.
superb. That's
I don't
brilliant.
understand what's going on there because you're making me ask for 10 and you're not even sending me 10.
Well, to be fair, I think I put a fair load of loaves down in my Mavelia thing, and 2, 3 come, and I swear it
Yeah,
puts 5 or 6
that is.
down. Yeah.
And
So
like another thing, I know this is so like easy to say, and but like just the general organization of the whole system,
yeah.
it just needs to be better organized.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if I was king for a day, alongside the public health campaign, I would basically say that my dietitian, my metabolic clinic, they know me, they know where I am in my, in my PKU. Why can't they prescribe
Hmm.
my stuff? And like my GP doesn't need to know. And that way, I can go to my GP for my antibiotics and they turn up at the chemist around the corner and that's fine. But yeah,
It
that's what I would
solves your
do.
issue. It solves the issue
Yeah.
that both you and Jasmine have had of going, why don't you keep the I hate to use the word general health, but the general health stuff separate from the metabolic stuff in that sense. So, but unfortunately, Polly, you took my idea. So my idea was going to be let's send it to the dietitians because I
Yeah.
think for me it's that, like you said, they know us the best.
Yeah.
If I never got the products, I could probably contact my dietitian anyway under this circumstance and go, I really need supplement, please emergency send something out. So if I could do that, why can't it be official and go through the dietitians? Because
Yeah.
they're also probably the best representatives towards the companies as
Yeah,
well. They're dealing with the
absolutely.
companies a lot more than I do, or even my doctors know of. So yeah, I think that would be the most unifying of the
Mm.
system. So you get your blood results through them, you get your food through them, and it
Yeah.
would feel. I think people also would feel probably more attached to their dietitian service through that basis, rather than I could go a whole year without needing to contact them apart from when I turn up at clinic and blood results. So it actually provides probably a bit better of a connection to your dietitians. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. Tom for King then. Tom.
that was that. I think we've all done very sensible, sadly, but big thinking ideas, which is sad when you go, actually, they shouldn't be that radical. They just make a lot more sense. Cool. So, last thing that we're going to kind of talk about, or at least kind of give advice on, is tips and tricks. Any other tips and tricks that people can think of for this is for prescriptions, dealing with food, with traveling, any of that sort of thing. It can be the most mundane, boring, sensible thing. The letter stuff with traveling, I'll do a few and you guys can have a think. That's so the letter, because obviously if I say any of them, Polly might take them all. So we'll just the letter with traveling. I think the idea of I have a pair of scales in my car that just stay in my car because obviously I weigh everything. So I could get really hungry at a point in time and I go to a service station and there's a McDonald's and then I can weigh my chips. It's not a premeditated thing that has to happen. As well as, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, I think prescription wise, it's sad, but don't try and deviate too much and try and have like one wholesale change every year of going, here's some new items, get them right with the GP, don't confuse them too much, keep it quite simple. And yeah, with traveling, just think that you can do it, have the confidence to do it, and it's just a lot of prior planning. And I know that sounds really boring, and I know that sounds really hard to do, especially as I'm talking here as an adult. And I think if I had a child with PKU, I think that's a different kettle of fish because they love to be spontaneous, and I'm okay with not being spontaneous about my eating. Um, I'm probably a bit more varied than Jasmine's pesto pasta, but we'll order onto that. But it's that idea of like just prep, organisation, stockpiling a few things that you really do enjoy, that are quite versatile, and then, as I always do, contact places. I'm going on holiday in a week's time, and I've already spent 2, 3 weeks contacting places to go, can I eat here? Can I not eat here? And then you know categorically what you can and can't do. And chips are my lifesaver because everywhere sells chips, as far as I'm aware, although they are a bit harder to find. I went to Belgium. They don't really do chips in the places in Belgium that I went to, so that was hard. But yeah, they're the things off my top of my head. Jasmine, should we go with you?
Um, my like big thing is meal prepping. Just have like a freezer full of things either you know you will eat or you know your child will eat. Like my mum and dad have always done that for me. Like if they're cooking like chili or like pasta sauce, do like 4 times as much as you need and just freeze it all. Just
Big pans. That's all.
yes.
Just big pans. Yeah.
It's like you've always got an option and you've always got like a backup.
Yeah, I think I have an extra freezer in my house, and that sounds really dodgy, but it's for those purposes alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, PKU purposes for the extra freezer. Any other tips and tricks, Jasmine? Or just meal prepping
Um,
all the time?
yeah, meal prepping. And I think definitely like the traveling, definitely get a letter. Sometimes they don't ask for it, sometimes they're a bit funny and do ask for it.
Yeah.
Like I had sniffer dogs around my bags when I went to Leeds first, and I was like, I have a letter, please don't take anything away from me.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they're thorough, but
Yeah, they are.
you're a prepared person trying to smuggle
Yeah.
medicine into a festival, so that's fine. Cool. Cheers, Jasmine. Polly, how about you?
So I had to think about this, and I sort of came up with a tip for sort of everyday life and a tip for travel. So my tip for everyday life is to have a supplement stash somewhere. So if you're like, if you've got a kid with PKU and they go around to a friend's place fairly often, take some supplement round there. And that way, if something happens after school and they have to go there, you know that there'll be something there. They'll be looking for it. I used to do the same at work. I used to keep some supplement in my desk drawer.
I have a box. I have a
Mm,
big plastic box in my work. No one else in the
yeah,
office knows that it exists, but the box there has
yeah,
medicine,
yeah,
has Mavelia chocolate, has
mm,
like things that are little prescription stuff that I just
yeah,
stock up every half a year. That is a
yeah,
little
yeah.
snack. Keep me tied over. Even with a mug in there, if I can't find a mug to make the medicine,
Wow,
it's
you are
resource.
prepped.
It's prep because I'm up there 3 days a week, but like
Yeah,
it's prepped, but it's that idea of, well, I've sorted it, I know it's there, sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's that kind of having
yeah,
supplements having a supplement in my bag if anything goes wrong or I can't
yeah,
get back home.
mm,
Yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree.
So this is where the supplement samples that you get at PKU events. I get them and I'll try them, but there's always lots. And actually, I've got tucked away in my bag that I take with me everywhere. There's supplement in there. Um, and it means that I don't live in London anymore, but if I'm in London and the train's cancelled, I'm fine for that. Um,
Exactly for those
yeah,
reasons for me. Have it in the car,
exactly.
have it in any bag that I have.
Yeah,
I just have to
yeah,
check occasionally if I haven't used the bag for a while because they do
yeah.
go out of date. So
Exactly. They do go out of date. Um, yeah, so that would be my big one. And for travel, I have found that I try and travel light. So I'll be going to Berlin this weekend. I will take my supplement. I will measure out some PKU cereal because my top tip for travel is pretty much where you're going to have breakfast, right? Be a hotel, could be an Airbnb. So if you make your breakfast protein free, then you can be a lot more flexible later in the day. So if I have a protein free breakfast, I might be able to go and have a salad at lunch. Suddenly, I've got all of my protein to have at dinner. And you're not supposed to do it every day, but
I
there are,
know the dietitians would hate us for doing this, but we do it. So yeah,
well, I mean, I love the dietitians, but quite often they work in a clinic.
yeah.
I don't live my life in a clinic.
That's why I live on toast in the morning. In
Yeah.
in terms of any part of the traveling is to save those exchanges for
Yeah.
versatility later on in the day.
And I
Completely
mean,
agree.
absolutely have your supplement as you normally would throughout the day. But if you can have a protein-free breakfast while you're traveling, it makes sightseeing so much easier.
There you go. That's sounded and really this is what I mean. We can do big world thinking. We can hope everything's gonna magically get better, but it's that idea of sometimes it's the simplest tips, and I think it's things that you pick up as you go along in life. And I would never think about using exchanges if I can help it in the mornings on a travel day because it's that, especially if I'm traveling with other people that don't have the condition, I want to be as versatile as possible to go, you pick the restaurant and I can go in it and I'll be able to have something. And lo and behold, it's probably salad and chips. But I've got exchanges to play with. The worst times is when you're like, I've used all my exchanges up and I've still got to have dinner. That's really hard. Cool. Is there any burning things that we have not touched upon for yourselves, Polly or Jasmine, before I do the rounding up?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I would be really interested to see what listeners think of this conversation and which bits they liked or would want to hear more about. Um,
Yeah, because
yeah,
this is an exhaustive. We've done prescriptions in an hour. Great, fantastic. And again, this is a fluid thing, and depending on what doctors you're in and that sort of stuff, it all changes. So yeah, by all means, let us know in comments below and that sort of thing about if there's any queries, if there's any things that you want us to go into a bit more detail about, or just I resonate with that, or I've also had that happen to me. And I think this is the biggest thing that we're trying to do with this podcast is bring that community a tad bit closer together so people are sharing each other's stories. So when we kind of go, yeah, this is what it's like, or yes, this happens to me, or it's not impossible to do this. And it might not be the glamorous of subjects, but I think it's the most useful because prescriptions covers any part of this condition anybody has, and it can be really vital for us that are obviously, I think we're all classical PKUers in terms of the low exchange lot, but also medicine needs to come from somewhere, doesn't it, sort of thing. So yeah, cheers for watching. Thank you for watching the first episode in the NSPKU podcast, and have a good rest of the day. And Polly and Jasmine, do you want to say bye to our viewers and listeners?
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Lovely and awkward that was.
Yeah. She's waiting for her pesto pasta.
She's off to do pesto pasta.
Yeah.
That's it.